Welcome back,
Well,
guys.
welcome back. Oh,
The
wow.
baby
Look
got
at us
stacked.
on cue.
Wow,
Baby
it's
got
almost like
stacked
we meant it.
podcast. Oh,
Well,
man.
this week, guys, I don't even know what to say. I don't. It, it I don't even. If you could quiz me on this book right
hmm
now, granted, I finished it maybe an hour ago. If you could
hmm
quiz me, I don't think I would pass.
I had to write myself like a little quickish summary about the characters.
There
Yeah.
was so many things going on in this book.
So much in so little.
I,
Well, so
yeah.
the book we're talking about is The House on Vesper Sands by Peric O'Donnell. It's the publishing house is Tin House in Portland, Oregon. So that was really cool.
That was cool to find out, yes.
Um,
And I'm the one that found this book originally, which I'm apologizing now because that was a
through
train wreck.
TikTok, right?
It was TikTok, yeah.
So
Do
this
I
is like
remember
the
who?
first
No.
bad recommendation through TikTok. Well, okay, bad for us. Bad for
This
us.
was this
The
was a
amount of times I kept looking to see when this was published,
when was it published?
2021. I was expecting early 2000s the latest.
You know what makes it worse is that I bought this another book of this person's
Maybe that one's better.
published. God, I sure hope so. I'm sorry, Abe, but I'm bringing this book to you because
I
I
know he's
can't.
about to receive 2
I
copies of the
can't.
House on
I
Webster
can't.
Sands.
I it's beautiful cover.
Oh, it's
Beautiful.
gorgeous. I have
Oh, it's
mine in a
gorgeous.
hardcover. It's
Yeah,
so pretty.
it's beautiful. But will I ever read this again? No. I
No,
I'm gonna be honest, guys. If it wasn't for this podcast, I would have DNF'd this book
I
so
thought about
quickly.
it. Halfway
I thought
through, I was like, I need to find the audiobook. My brain, my eyes can't.
there's no way I would have been able to comprehend anything if there was an audiobook. No way. Listening to it, I would have been so lost. No,
It
I
was
would have
a
been in.
little.
I might as well have been in the alleys in London in this book. I was so confused
The
the
audiobook
entire
did
time.
kind of feel like a lecture almost, in like the feeling that you have like I need to listen. I need to be paying attention to what these words mean. Oh no, I missed what did he say? I need to pay attention to shit. Now I just missed another part.
This book, I didn't like it so much that last night I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna lay in my bed and I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna get like as far as I can. And then I started getting so sleepy. So sleepy to the point where I was like, oh, it must be like 11:30. It was 10. I was so tired. I
So
just
unfortunate. Well, do you want to read
yeah, I can read
whatever
that.
their synopsis is?
Yeah. Honestly, Time magazine said a thrilling gothic mystery.
They
Uh,
did. And it's,
uh,
I don't
I,
recognize any of the author names that blurbed it, but
Seattle Times. Well, it's all like newspaper, like the Seattle Times, the Washington Post. Those
mine
are
has a Sandra Newman, Benjamin
oh,
Dreyer, Sarah Perry. I don't recognize
mine's
the
got the
books they wrote.
Wall Street Journal, Oprah Daily.
Oh my God, I have one from Irish Times, and it says Dickens is whirling enviously in his grave, read by a fire on a cold winter evening. This did read like Charles Dickens.
I don't know
Now
if
that
I've
I'm
ever
thinking,
read one of his books.
don't.
Okay.
My most hated book is a Charles Dickens book.
This Benjamin Dreyer says riveting. Benjamin, what in your
Do you know what
life?
fun is? Benjamin, because it's not
Probably not,
sounding
'cause
like it.
he's named Benjamin. He's not. He probably doesn't know what fun is. Okay. All right. I guess we'll just get on to this. Ugh. I can't. Okay. London, 1893. Which it makes sense because this is such like an old timey. The amount of
Yeah,
times I read Sir. Ugh.
I know.
Okay. London, 1893. High up in a house on a dark, snowy night, a lone seamstress stands by a window. So begins the swirling serpentine world of the Victorian-inspired mystery, the story of a city cloaked in shadow but burning with questions. Why does the seamstress jump from the window? Why is a cryptic message stitched into her skin? And how is she connected to a rash of missing girls, all of whom seem to have disappeared under similar circumstances? On the case is Inspector Cutter, a detective as sharp and committed to his work as he is wryly hilarious. I didn't find him funny at all. Gideon Bliss, a Cambridge dropout in love with one of the missing girls, stumbles into a role as Cutter's sidekick. And clever young journalist Octavia Hiddleton sees the case as a chance to tell a story that matters, despite her employer's preference that she stick to a women's society column. As Inspector Cutter peels back the mystery layer by layer, he leads them all at last to the secrets that lie ahead or lie hidden at the house on Vesper Sands. That's all.
That is all. So
what did you rate it?
I give it a 3.
Oh.
Smack middle in the road.
Okay.
I was 0 impressed, but it didn't make me angry and like despise it as other books have.
Mm-hmm.
Those books I give it 2.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I can see how someone else would like it. You know what I mean? Someone with different tastes. Because it read, not that I've ever read Sherlock Holmes or Agatha Christie, but it read what I imagine classic mysteries, older ones read like. So if someone was into Agatha Christie, like Murder on the Orient Express and those kinds, I can imagine they would like this. Because the writing style, it's very old-timey. Like, it's not only just a historical mystery. His writing style mimics that time, too.
Yeah.
So if you're into that, this book will probably be for you. We're not into that.
We are not. No. I gave it a 2 because I've never been more confused reading a book in my entire life.
Okay, wow. It's very rare that I have a higher rating than you do.
I know. I did not like this.
So you are fresh off the cusp of reading this. I read it last month.
Hell, I could have read it last year. I would have been in the same boat. I just.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I did. I really tried. Like, I could have read it last weekend when I didn't have internet access.
Mm-hmm.
I read like maybe 10 pages and I was like, I've got to do something else. I cannot. I just can't. I forced myself to finish it.
I was trying to think really hard what my issue was with this because the synopsis sounds great. The concept sounds like something we could really get into.
Yes.
And I think it's the genre because it was trying to be a lot of different things, but it didn't just choose a path. Like, there was a kind of paranormal aspect that I was not expecting. It's like gothic horror with its like descriptive atmosphere and like foggy London and like, but it was also a historical mystery and it just didn't blend together.
I will say A+ on the wording in the sense of making it 1893.
Yeah.
I will give it that. And that is all I will give. I did not like 2. So you get a lot, not a lot of different perspectives, but you get Octavia's point of view, Gideon's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Inspector Cutter's.
I think you do a little bit somewhere.
But the author doesn't notate it at all. So you just start a new chapter and you're just like in it and you're like, wait, whose point of view
you kind of have to figure out where they are and try to figure out who they're talking to figure out whose mind you're in.
And at one point when Gideon is in the church and then he meets Inspector Cutter and then they're talking and stuff and it's a little like ways into the book and then they're like, well, last night in the church, I'm like, all of this paper for one day?
Yeah.
We've only gone one day.
It was a lot of telling and not showing. Like, they'll appear and say what happened instead of us moving through the actual event. And I think I decided on what I would call this genre.
Okay.
Victorian Gothic melodrama.
Okay. I could see that. Yeah. That's a good.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? It just couldn't.
Yeah.
It felt like he didn't have a layout of what he wanted the story to be. He just had like a
No.
beginning concept, and as he was writing, he's like, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool," and then like kept going
It's
that
like you
way.
asked. It's like you asked a first grade class to come up with a story,
Mm.
and then they put all of their
All the
what they
ideas
wanted to, yeah, all their ideas together. It was just so chaotic that my brain just couldn't comprehend. At one point, I read through a chapter. I just stopped and I was like, "What did I even read?" Like, I
Mm.
didn't even grasp any of what that was,
It
and I stopped
was
reading. I was like, "I
slow
probably don't."
paced, hard to follow, and I don't know if it just felt such hardcore British humor, which can be very dry and sarcastic, and it's hard to have that show through written words
Yeah,
if you're not British. Like if you watch a British show that's a comedy, it passes off much more easily than if you're reading it. And so you just it just weirdly all over the place, and like my mind was just trying to catch
all
up.
over the place. It was insane.
I did. Some of the characters were fun. Like if they made like a series of Octavia, that could be interesting.
She was my favorite.
Yeah. Gideon talked a lot. About what? I don't know.
Yeah, there was yeah, there's a lot, and I mean, everyone's different in their what they like to read,
Mhm.
what they don't like to read. So maybe, I mean, obviously, like, I wouldn't say we're professionals be- because, I mean, we read, but everyone's got
We
their,
are.
okay, so we're professionals. This book sucked. No, okay. But everyone, I mean, like, if you like how Mel described it and you're like, oh, I think then go for it. I mean,
Yeah. If you're reading like classic mysteries, I
but if
can't think of anyone other than like the Sherlock Holmes stories or the Agatha Christie's. It's just a little dry,
yeah,
not
but if
as like thrilling and suspenseful. Like it
there's
didn't feel like there were high stakes.
no, I don't know what Time magazine said thrilling. There's no thrilling about this book
I wouldn't use
whatsoever.
thrilling or riveting, but
None of those. But
do you
yeah,
have
I mean,
questions?
if you like the books that we've read for the podcast
Mm-hmm.
and you like those genres and you kind of feel the same way we have with the books so far, you probably are not gonna like this book.
Yeah. And what's weird is we do like historical fiction. Like we love Kristen Hanna. She writes a lot of historical
Yes,
fiction.
The Lost Apothecary was historical
Lost
fiction.
Apothecary was. I've read other like Philippa Gregory. She writes a lot of like British monarchy, old
Hmm.
time, and I like historical fiction, but this one, just in the writing style alone, was just hard for my brain to process.
Yeah, it really was. And I don't even
Yeah.
know, like, I guess there was a timeline. Like, how do we even go about usually we
I can't tell you. I can read what I wrote for my little tiny
well,
summaries to remember who these people are.
so I mean, I guess I can do my very best since I this is so fresh still kind of in my brain before
I
it
mean, I
runs
have
away.
Gideon dropped out of Cambridge. He ends up pretending to be a police sergeant to
Hmm.
track down a missing lady,
Miss Tatum,
Miss Tatum.
Angie. Hmm.
Detective Inspector Cutter. I hate how they do that. Detective Inspector Cutter. He's on the case of the dead seamstress. And then Octavia Hillingdon, she's a reporter, but she writes like social events and like
Yeah.
women's problems, and she wants to do something more with depth. Um, that's what I got. That's all I remember.
Yeah. So basically, this book, there's almost like parts.
Yeah.
So in the first part, we learn about Ethel Toll, who is a seamstress that works for Lord Scrith. I think you have
Something like that, yeah.
whatever, the Lord. She works for the Lord. Anyways,
The Lord.
the Lord. So she's a seamstress. She comes in. She sewed on her body I don't even remember what it said on it. It was something about the Lord. Oh, maybe I found it. No, I did not find it. Okay. Anywho, so she kind of knows what's going down. Something's going down. There's girls that are missing. So she writes a cryptic note. It's something about the Lord. I remember that. Anyway, so she sews it on her body, and then she jumps from the balcony. The Lord has this weird old caretaker, Care or whatever. It's CAR. There's a W in there somewhere. Whatever. So
Yeah.
I got real
Arrow.
creepy vibes of him. Did not like him.
Did not appreciate his company.
So when she dies, it then changes to Gideon Bliss. He, like you mentioned, dropped out of Cambridge. He is there because his uncle is paying for him to go to Cambridge. His parents died when he was young. He just has his uncle, kind of this weird, crazy uncle who's really into insects.
Yeah, like that eccentric, crazy uncle.
Yeah. Who he doesn't see very much. He got this weird note because he's only visited his uncle really like one other time, and his uncle lives in like this boarding house or whatever, and that's where he met Miss Tatum. She is a girl that is an orphan who doesn't really know how to read, and so he kind of teaches her how to read, but also falls in love with her at the same time. They kind of get engaged. There's this whole weird thing with like a sixpence is what they call it.
It was non-specific.
I'm very so confused on that. So they leave it like, are they engaged? Are they not engaged? So he goes back to Cambridge. When he comes back to visit his uncle after this weird note, he can't get into the house. His uncle's gone. So he goes to the church to sleep in it. This is such a weird book. Anyways, so then he gets to the church. Tatum's there. She's pretty much dead. I mean, she's not dead, but she looks like it. He gets knocked out, chloroformed, as we later find out. Tatum's missing, so now he's panicking that the love of his life is gone and doesn't know what's happening. So then he goes back to his uncle's house and finds Inspector Cutter, who also lives there. Weird house. Anyways, so then he pretends to be someone he's not, because he wants to figure out what happened to her. And then they just run around trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, Octavia has this friend named Elf. Meh.
As one does.
As one does. He's a lord as well. And he's a little shady. We come to find out why. It makes a lot of sense. So then she's...
But does it? Doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't, but nah.
But it does.
This whole book doesn't. And so then we are going along with Inspector Cutter and Gideon and Octavia kind of side by side each other.
Yeah.
And Octavia wants to know what's happening at the Lord Scrite's house. Her grandfather is like the owner of the newspaper, I believe.
Something like that.
And so she can kind of get away with doing stuff that women couldn't back in that time period. So she's trying to find the story. So she sends Elf to go get her information because they'll give it to him and not her.
Yeah.
And so she's trying to figure out the missing Miss Tatum. And I don't even know like what really happens, but somehow they go to the house on Vesper Sands, which is where Lady Ada lives, which is Lord Scrithe's sister. Come to find out, Lord Scrith has been murdering and kidnapping all these women to use their souls. I felt almost like this was Tangled, where she like sings the song and then gets all the, I was like,
Neither youth.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, we come to find out that Lady Ada can see people's souls, and some people shine brighter than others. And so her brother was killing girls that shined brighter because he wanted their energy, basically. to make them look younger. And shockingly enough, Elf was also in on this and really does a 180 on Octavia, tries to shoot her.
Never
Then
trust an
also
elf.
then also a man loses his head on a train at one point. That was
Yeah,
a
that happened.
wild time. And then Miss Tatum is like half a ghost, half not, and she's fading. And that was a wild concept.
That
Then I,
reminded me of Hocus Pocus when they like suck the, and then like he's like
yes,
kind of see-through. That's how
yes,
I pictured it.
yes. So then they're on a beach outside of the house on Vesper Sands, and Elf has a gun to Bliss. Bliss is freaking out. Cutter's telling Elf, no matter what, I'm gonna shoot you because I got a really nice gun, like the best of the best. And then all of a sudden, the floor opens up and
I was
takes.
at this part.
So in my perspective, basically hell opens up and takes
That's
Elf.
what I pictured.
And then, but then I thought that Bliss was dead because then Miss Tatum could see him and like talk to him and stuff. And
Oh, that's right.
so then I was like, oh my God, did Bliss die? I was getting a little, I mean, out of all the characters, I tolerated him the most, other than Octavia. But like of the two guys, I was like, if one's gonna
Mm-hmm.
die, I'd rather it be Cutter. Nah. And so then it fast forwards to Octavia writing a book about the whole spiel. Lady
Mm-hmm.
Ada basically she was a prisoner on Vesper Sands by her brother while he was just running around amok killing people.
Come on.
Amok. And then Bliss is fine. He was near
Totally
death.
fine.
He was near death. I guess he got shot in the stomach. Lady Ada sewed him up, took the bullet out, good as new, I guess. And then now he's a was it not sergeant? He's a
An actual officer, whatever they call it.
yeah. And that's how it ends. There's ghosts.
I really was not expecting the paranormal aspect of it all.
I'm still confused on what happened to
There
Elf.
was zero hint
I
of
think
it.
he got taken to hell. I don't even know.
I pictured like sinkhole status from like This Is How It Ends, the
Mhm.
movie, how it
Mhm.
just opens up, and that's
Yeah.
what I pictured, and then like sealed back up or something.
I had more questions than answers at the very end.
Oh yeah. Not a clue.
And then also Octavia was talking to Cutter because she's trying to like get them to help her with her book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we see Bliss and we're like, oh, he's still alive and doing okay. And then we learn that they're like on their way to go and like capture people that are using slaves, but girls. I'm like, what? What?
Oh, missed
Yeah,
that part.
yeah.
Hmm.
He's like, oh, I'm, uh, what did he say? He said something about, let me see. I got this. Hold on. I will find it. Oh, I'm pursuing a gang of slavers since you asked. Slavers here in London. And, she was like, but where are they bringing these poor creatures from? And he's like, there's no shortage of shipping, miss. And, England must have its cotton still. And she was like, but living men packed into the holds of ships in this day and age? And he was like, it's not men they are bringing in, miss. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I am 5 pages away of being done, and you bring slavery into this? What is happening?
Oh lordy, yeah.
And that's that.
And that's that.
So
You have questions.
I hope you're just as confused as I am. You have questions?
Mm,
I
that I
don't even
wrote,
know
yeah.
if I, oh, okay. I don't even know if I have answers.
Why do you think the book started with the seamstress jumping out the window? Because we don't get like the victim's perspectives at all,
I
other
don't
than
even,
that.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know why that's in there. We could have just learned that she died.
Mm-hmm.
I I
That was
don't
probably the
even know
most
why that's
interesting
in
part of the
there.
book for me.
I thought it was gonna be on her death. We don't even hear about her after that.
Ever, yeah, no, we don't.
She did all that for nothing.
Yeah.
Why? I
And
don't know. Because he wanted to throw another aspect in there, I guess. Who knows?
do you think the story would have worked better if it were in a different time period?
Honestly, no. I don't think so.
My only hope would be that the writing style would be different for it. If it were a little more
You would have to change the whole book.
modern.
I think the London spooky aspect worked.
Mm,
I think the old timiness like kind of worked, kind of like Sherlock Holmes. I mean, we've used
yeah.
that reference a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that worked. Paranormal really had me confused. I feel like there was just so many things happening. It just was
It needed
so
to
much.
decide. It needed to decide on an end
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah. There was no
Right.
end goal.
Do you think there could be a sequel?
I sure hope not. It was
Okay, well, the follow up was, would you read it?
no. Now
It
watch that other book that I own is a sequel and I
is the
did buy
sequel.
it.
Well, because it kind of felt like this was like the setup for these three characters to be like a team, and then like it's just like their adventures and different
I mean,
cases.
maybe.
Yeah, I couldn't read it though.
The second book that I have of his is The Maker of Swans.
That before or
Um,
after this one.
it's after. It's June
Okay,
2022.
it could have gotten better.
This one is about in the dead of a night, shots ring out over the grounds of a sprawling English estate. The world-weary butler recognizes the gunman, his longtime employer, and knows he must think and act quickly. Who is the man lying dead on the lawn? Who is the woman in his company? Can he clean up his master's mess like he always has before, or will this bring a new kind of reckoning? Meh, maybe.
Hmm.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
Let's
see.
see. A year could change someone's
I
writing.
don't have much hope.
Oh. This book
It
is like what, 400 something pages?
Yes, and the swan one is significantly shorter, I believe.
Okay. I was gonna say you could probably this book definitely needed an editor, and they could have probably taken out a good 100 pages of this book.
Probably 200, let's be honest. Oh, it's not that significant. It's 368 pages, the swan one.
Well, better.
And it has less ratings.
Oh.
But it also has less like so the House on Vesper Sands has 6,303 ratings. The Maker of Swans has 1,266. So it's like significantly
Oh,
less.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear these 1-star reviews, shall we?
So this book has a 3.43 stars on Goodreads.
Oh.
Yes, I was also shocked. Uh, okay. After finishing this book, I'm still unclear on whether it inspired to be a mystery or a ghost story, but unfortunately it failed at both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, this started out okay, but then descended into ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they call them spiriters.
Oh, yeah. Man, I don't know.
I'm generally sorry for those who love this book. I read the entire book and still have absolutely no clue what happened. I've never been so confused with a book. Yes.
You should read one of the 5-star reviews to see what
Oh,
it is that they
okay.
like.
Okay. Let me make sure that there's no more 1 star.
Good ones.
Let's see. I know. Yeah, a lot of people DNF'd it.
Ooh.
Um I found this book tedious. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cheesy ghost story. Just awful.
Oh, just
Yeah.
laying it out there.
Okay, 5 stars. All right, let's see. Um, I this person I just finished reading The House of Vesper Saints and I loved it. It's the second novel from him and I found it far more accessible than the first. The Maker of Swan, so great.
Oh, I was gonna say, geez, how bad's that first one? And then
Oh my goodness, I totally loved this one. Part Victorian mystery, part gothic, and part fantasy. This had me gripped from the start.
Oh,
Helen? Well, her name is Helen.
Helen,
Yeah.
get a
Um,
hobby.
Linda, who looks older.
Mm.
Uh, excellent read, atmospheric, spooky, funny, and a page turner.
Oh,
Linda.
wow.
Linda.
See, it's for some people, like Linda.
They're a delightful mystery and exactly what I needed to distract myself from current events this week.
I mean, it did distract me because my confusion for like the outside world just
I
moved towards
wanted
this book.
I wanted to do literally anything else than read this book. Did not like this book at all. It
It was hard
just
to pick back up.
I, I tonight I was reading it. I had like maybe 50 pages left when I got home, and I'm reading it on the couch, and mom was just like said something, and I looked at her and she's like, "Sorry, I know you're reading," and I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm just trying to finish this book." She was, "Aren't you recording the podcast tonight?" I said, "Yeah, I
Yeah,
am." She
yeah.
was like, "Why did you
Mm.
wait?" And I was like, "Because I don't want to read this." It's hard to force yourself to read a book, kind
hmm
of like in school, like when
Yeah,
you're forced to read. And I've never had a problem with reading for the podcast
yeah,
ever. Like it it helps me stay focused, and usually I can knock a book out in like 2 or 3 days. I'm
yeah.
usually okay. This one just I wanted to stop
It
so many times.
it dragged. Yeah, literally like every time like I remember I was reading it and I picked up like I kept like drinking my water bottle and then like I felt it was like half full and be like, oh, I could refill it. And so I put it down and like went and got a refill. It's like I found
Mhm.
any just because like it was hard. It was a rough one.
It was.
That
I'm
was a rough go.
hoping. Yeah, like I said, Abe, you're gonna get 2 copies of this. It's mighty beautiful.
It's
I'm
so
never picking
nice
that book up
looking.
ever again.
Yeah. Well, I guess it goes to show we don't love every book we read,
No,
no matter how we think it's gonna go.
I was
But
excited about it, but nah, yeah,
yeah,
well,
I was excited about it too. But what I am excited about is next week's pick. We're back on our true crime shit.
I'm so excited.
We have The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule. This is kind of the book that launched her true crime just because she knew Ted Bundy in person. She had
Yeah.
worked with him at a call center. So this was, I don't think this is her first book.
No, it's
I
just
think
her.
it's just the first one that really popped off and made her,
It's her first bestseller. Yeah.
yeah,
There's a
like
little like blurb
a little
on
blurb about
her,
him.
and it says that Anne Rule wrote 35 New York bestsellers, all of them still in print. Her first bestseller was The Stranger Beside Me, about her personal relationship with serial killer Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
She was a Seattle police officer. Didn't know
hmm
that. I did not know
Yeah,
that.
she grew up in Pacific Northwest. Ted Bundy even stopped at the city and the campus, the college campus we went to school at.
Yes,
So it kind of an extra heightened weird thing with the places she describes because we know some of them.
I'm
And it
so
was really
excited.
weird reading it, but
I so you got me into Anne Rule because you
mhm.
owned her books before I did, and we've done an Anne Rule book in the past.
Yes, the
Um,
I-5 killer.
yes. And I just love that in the middle of her books, she's got like the pictures. I
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
I really enjoy
pictures,
that.
files, the cases,
Yeah.
court pictures, and it's her writing style is fairly non-biased, and she tells in this one, what she thought of Tim Bundy, her experiences with him, and I already read it. It's good, but
This book is a lot thicker than I anticipated.
yeah, it's kind of a thick one, but it's also a pocketbook, so it was pretty fast to get through, I will say.
Okay. It's 550. I was
Yeah,
It's a thick one.
but it,
But
it
yes,
was.
I'm very excited to read this. I shouldn't be as
Oh,
excited to
yay.
read a true crime, but I love how she writes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Especially
great.
after this week, man, we need some good writing.
Yes. Yeah, and I own I5 Killer, I own this one, and then I also own towards the end of the I5 Killer book, that guy
Oh yeah.
his name is escaping me, but he is in contact with a woman that's incarcerated that
Mm-hmm.
killed her children in Oregon. And I actually found the annual book on her and her life. So I'm intrigued to
Yeah.
read that and see if there's anything on her talking to the I5 killer. But yes, I'm very excited for this true crime. We've watched the Ted Bundy like documentaries.
Yeah, just about all of them. There's quite a few, especially recently with the Ted Bundy, like the confession tape series that Netflix has, the
Those
Zac
confession tape
Efron
series, I love them so much.
movie.
Yeah, we have watched the doc. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all good. Love them and
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
excited.
So
Hope
excited.
hopefully this will make up for this week. I tell you what, guys.
Ooh, we can forget about this week. How about that?
Yes. Yes. Please.
Well, if you want to see what else we're reading, you can check out our Instagram at Baby Got Stacks Podcast. We have our schedule up on there. We have a link in the bio that leads to our other links, like to our Goodreads, where you can see what other books we're at
Mm-hmm.
or have. Because,
Yep.
ooh, boy, is our TBR long.
Yes, it is.
Our TikTok.
That
That's
is
all I
all.
have to say about that one.
That is all.
It is there. It exists.
It does.
Um, We'll figure it out. Trying to
Okay.
think. Yeah, so next Sunday at noon, we'll talk about some true crime.
I'm
True
excited, guys.
crime.
Yep. It's gonna be
Love
a good
it.
time.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
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 We need to go.
Well, on that note, bye, guys.
Bye.